This episode of Techno Buffalo is brought to you by Domain.com. Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm Mark Linsangen from Techno Buffalo, and on this episode of Rumor Roundup, we'll be talking about iOS 9, OS 10.10.11, and the iPad Pro. We're also going to be talking a bit about gaming, specifically Shenmue, the best game I've ever played on Dreamcast. This is Rumor Roundup, so let's go ahead and get started. So first up, let's talk a bit about iOS 9 and OS 10.10.11. The system font Apple made specifically for the Apple Watch, dubbed San Francisco, will reportedly be included in the upcoming updates to iOS and OS 10. Now, according to sources speaking to 9to5Mac, the font will replace Helvetica Neue and be used in part to refresh Apple's software, while also providing better legibility. Following Apple's complete change to Helvetica Neue last year, a number of designers voiced their displeasure with the font, stating that the font was difficult to read. Apple executives supposedly feel the use of San Francisco will not only please those who felt Helvetica Neue was a poor font choice, but completely refresh iOS 9 and OS 10, which some in Apple camp feel are becoming stale. On the other side of the coin, however, some developers have complained that the font San Francisco may not be the best choice either, especially for non-retina displays, because the font just flat out doesn't look good. With WWDC coming in early June, we'll hear plenty more about the fate of iOS and OS 10 and whether or not San Francisco, the font, will be involved. On to more iOS 9 news. A new report from 9to5Mac says Apple Maps will finally get public transit directions along with a few other new features in iOS 9. According to Mark Gurman, Apple hopes to include subway, bus, and train directions with iOS 9. The update may also add a new trip planning feature, a special public transit view, and the company is also hoping to debut indoor mapping this year as well. Apple Maps has gotten progressively better over the past few years, but is still missing a key feature for anyone who lives in a city or relies on public transportation. Of course, that's just a small fraction of the company's massive user base, so it makes sense that Apple isn't in a rush to add subway directions. If Apple does announce these improvements to Maps, we'll likely hear more about it during WWDC. The last Apple rumor of the day goes to the iPad Pro. The iPad has been on a slow decline over the past few years, and Apple is very aware of this fact. According to sources talking to 9to5Mac, Apple is looking to make several improvements over the next year, culminating in two new 12-inch models. Looks like we'll see an iPad Pro at some point after all. 9to5Mac says Apple is working on larger iPads, currently codenamed J98 and J99, essentially a larger version of the existing iPad Air 2. One will be Wi-Fi only, and the other will be, of course, Wi-Fi plus cellular. The larger iPad will run iOS as you and I know it now, though it'll sport a new feature allowing users to run apps side by side. This is a feature that's been talked about for a while now, and we actually expected Apple to officially unveil it last year, though the company apparently needed more time to polish the software. Sources now say that Apple plans to show off the side-by-side feature for iOS 9 using currently available iPad models, and that the latest plan suggests that the split-screen mode will support half, 1/3, and 2/3 views depending on the apps. Samsung devices have had multi-window feature for quite some time now, while Microsoft's Surface lineup also boasts multi-window support. The iPad has always been a device for consuming media, though the new feature in larger iPad could put Apple's slate into a different plane entirely, so hopefully Apple will share more details soon. Let me stop the video real fast and thank our friends over at Domain.com. It's the place to go when the next great idea hits you. It's a one-stop shopping for all your domain names and web hosting email needs. Domain want to hook our fans up with a pretty cool offer. Save 20% on domain names and web hosting if you use the coupon code TechnoBuffalo. It's all one word in caps at Domain.com's checkout. Now, last but certainly not least, I personally have not talked about gaming in Rumor Roundup before, but I thought this one deserved a spot in today's episode, because today we're going to be talking about Shenmue. Shenmue is probably the best open world game for the Sega Dreamcast. With E3 coming up next month, Shenmue rumors have returned, leaving myself and the entire world wondering if the long-lost franchise will be making a comeback. Japanese website GameStock has stumbled across some suspicious murky images of origins unknown, and they're branded with Square Enix label and a tentative date of spring 2016. Now, whatever it is or whenever it was taken, Square Enix wants it to be a mystery. But the real question here is, shouldn't it say Sega instead of Square Enix? GameStock jumps to the conclusion that the three cherry blossom petals are representing an HD remaster of Shenmue 1 and 2, and that the third one represents Shenmue 3. It might seem far-fetched, but just remember, anything is possible these days. Anyways, that's it for this episode of Rumor Roundup. Anything that I talked about in this video will be in the links down below. And if you guys like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and we will see you guys in the next one.